As a kid, I was put in mostly overalls and sometimes dresses with this similar pattern. I think I might have even had pigtails. If I did, I'll insert the picture here. Today's video is things I thought I knew as a kid. As kids, we tend to be naive, and as we grow older, we realize some of the things we used to think are not true. It's amazing how as a kid, your imagination kind of runs wild. All of my beliefs as a kid are really odd, and I'll try to see if I can remember why I thought that. I used to think that kissing got you pregnant, nothing else, just kissing. For the longest time, I used to think that the yellow and white lines on the roads were just for decoration. They didn't serve any purpose at all. And even longer to realize that the dotted yellow lines in the middle meant that you could pass, and when they were not dotted in the middle of the road, that means you couldn't pass. High school is the best years of your life. I believe I used to think this because all of these movies that I was watching were based on high school kids, and it always was like there was a bully and then they defeated the bully and they got together with a boyfriend and everything was great, and it was the best years of their life because a lot of movies used to fail to show life after high school. Honestly, if you pick out certain years of your life and say that these were the best years of my life and I can never top it, you're basically saying that your life will never get better than the way it was before. Your high school years are not the best years of your life. This one I'm pretty sure is common. The moon is made of cheese and there's a man that lives on it. It's not made of cheese, it's made of rock. And I was disappointed when I learned that. All dogs are vicious. I believe I got this, stereotype of dogs because I did not own a dog of my own until I was in 3rd grade, and any other dog I'd come across were like the really possessive dogs. There was a Dalmatian at my neighbor's house. She was really mean, and I remember being 3 years old and being terrified to go around her. My grandparents used to have a dog that was just massive. His name was Ike, and he was a Rottweiler, and I was just intimidated by him because I assumed that he would bark and growl at me. I just assumed that all dogs were vicious. What broke me out of this were the neighborhood dogs, and I found out that by being around them, dogs are not vicious unless you basically make them vicious and you don't treat them right. I thought I knew that Neverland was real. Hate to break it to you, but it's not. And the main reason I think I used to think this was one movie that I was obsessed with was this Peter Pan movie that came out in 2001, I believe. And I used to watch this movie over and over because I had a crush on Peter Pan, the guy that played him. And I just really wanted to go to Neverland because I didn't want to grow up. Same is still true. I also used to have an imaginary friend before my brother was born. I was 3.5 when my brother was born, and my imaginary friend's name used to be Jakey, and I would always tell my parents about what he was doing. He was usually in trouble, and I think he was supposed to be my alter ego, I'm gonna assume, because Jakey sounds like Jamie, and I don't know of anyone named Jakey. If your name is Jakey, comment below. That would be interesting, because I'm gonna assume that I pulled that name randomly. By that point, I wasn't even in preschool to know anyone with that name. I used to think that he was real, and for a while after I gave up the imaginary friend because I realized I didn't need one, I had a little brother, my parents would always pick on me and ask me where he was, and one day I got so tired of it I said, he's gone to the moon, he's never coming back, and he said bye, just to get them off my back. And I remember doing that because I felt embarrassed that I had an imaginary friend, so I remember doing that. Eating too much will make you explode. Well, it will make you full, but it won't make you explode. Learn that too. It'll also make you sick. I've ate too many Oreos. I ate like half a pack of Oreos one time. I also had an entire movie theater bag of M&Ms as well, so I disproved that as a kid by actually testing it out. For one day, I believed that giving someone the middle finger was a sign of respect because in kindergarten, I rode the bus while my mom stayed home with my brother, and some of the 7th or 8th graders in the back told me to do that to my mom, and I was kind of suspicious of them even at that age, and I asked my mom what it meant, and she told me it meant something very bad, and I quickly learned not to do that. I used to think that the drain would pull me down with the water and the soap if I got too close to it. This applied to sinks as well, because I remember I did not want to put my hand near sink drains either. This kind of goes along with the Neverland one. I thought that if I jumped high enough, I could fly. I'm thankful I did not try to jump off anything really high, because probably would have broken something. Used to think Africa was a country. I went through this quick phase of thinking that stepping on a crack in the sidewalk would actually hurt people. I thought magicians were really special wizards and everything that they did was absolutely real. I used to go to the library a lot, and I remember sitting on the front row with black flip-flops, and the magician took my black flip-flop and stuck it in this magic thing that was supposed to give me another pair of shoes, and it just melted my flip-flop. And I remember being really sad and surprised whenever he fixed the shoe. I would hold up both hands, but the other one has the iPad. I used to think that because we did not have a fireplace, Santa would go down the chimney and into the basement, and so I always used to listen for Santa's footsteps coming up the stairs. I thought my teachers lived at the school, and obviously when you see a teacher out somewhere for the first time, it's pretty surprising as a kid. I was afraid of the witches from The Wizard of Oz, and I thought that they were real, so I never could watch The Wizard of Oz, and it's not supposed to be a scary movie. Also, going along with that, thought that every monster in every horror movie was real, and I'm sure that's a common belief. I used to have bangs. Here's a picture of me with bangs. They used to drag over my eyebrows, and I got tired of them, so I asked if they could be cut off. I did not realize that just cutting across would not get rid of bangs. My mom had to explain to me that I had to let my bangs grow out into my hair. For the longest time, I think this was up until high school, I thought this, that the saying pot calling the kettle black was calling the cattle black. And I was always confused as to what that meant. The last thing I can think of at the moment that I used to think as a kid was from preschool and kindergarten, and those times where we used to have to snap. I used to not be able to snap at all. So I would click my tongue and slide my fingers across each other. So I would be sitting in the circle going, there's clearly a difference, and I didn't think anyone would notice. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that did this. I've been told by a friend that she also did this before she could snap as well. That is all of the things that I can think of for now that I thought I knew when I was little. If you have any funny things that you used to think, leave them in the comments below. I don't want to feel alone in all of this. So I will see you guys next video. Bye! Can we just take a moment to appreciate this necklace? It has like a floral design. On this side it's an owl. If you push the little button, there's a clock inside. Always been obsessed with this necklace. If I wore my hair like this as a child, I'll insert a picture. Ooh. It took me even longer to figure out that the dotted white yellow